Hello, everybody. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And today I want to talk to you about the discipline dilemma, how high performers stay consistent, and how to cut through the noise. Because motivation is a mood and discipline is a decision. Everybody loves talking about the hustle. Everybody loves talking about the grind, the inspiration porn on social media. But let's be real. Motivation is really fragile. It's a spark, not a system. Hello again. My name is Christian, and I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And I wanted to talk to you about that little dilemma. And the real edge is, how do you show up? And not just how you show up when nobody's clapping, when nobody is watching your story, nobody is liking your post, and nobody is cheering you on. That's where discipline separates the talkers from the builders. Hustle burns hot. Discipline builds legacy. So let's get into it. So here's the dilemma. We all crave results, but we resist the routine. I'm guilty of that. Have you lived this? There's a season where momentum disappears. It's not getting feedback and no one is applauding. But it kept showing up. Whether I was working on a project in silence, rather you staying looking into health, or you notice that nobody is noticing any of the things you do, or creating content that's landed in a void. I know I've been there. Discipline isn't sexy. It doesn't really get you likes, but it's sustainable. And this is the tension, the discipline dilemma. Do you keep showing up when it feels like absolutely nobody cares? Because the truth is, this is when it really matters the most. And we hear about this a lot. Let's really talk about the power of rituals, the power of randomness. Because high performers don't leave their energy to a chance. They build rituals that anchor not just what their energy is, it anchors really who they are. And for me, there's, you guys know, I like to have the number of 3, because there's the morning anchor, which is really simple. It's that morning routine that doesn't need to be 90 minutes or longer, or it doesn't need to be a spiritual retreat. It's that small, repeatable ones, that hydration, the breathing, the movement, the journaling. All of that is what we need to do in the morning. And then for me, something I had to learn is what I call calendar blocking. Your calendar is your discipline in action. I heard this from a really good friend of mine, and he also says that non-negotiables aren't about urgent. They are about what's really, really important. And at the end of the day, the show up rule, and that's one of them I absolutely love, because if you commit the 10 minutes, 10 minutes of writing, 10 minutes of working out, 10 minutes of doing whatever it takes to get you started. So here's the honest truth. Discipline isn't about willpower, because willpower fades. Discipline is a system. And that's something for me, it took me a few years to really get that figured out, because I had a gentleman once I worked with, and let's call him Robert. And he always said to me, hey, you need to get real. Consistency isn't about redlining everything every single day. It's really about never quitting. And he was absolutely right. Because for me, it's about that thinking, it's the micro rest, the micro discipline, the micro doing anything. You know, you honestly don't have to go 100 miles an hour every day. You don't stop moving. You know, it's not about that. It's knowing, what is your rhythm? You pushing yourself hard, and you know what is your energy level and what gets your energy going. But pulling back when you need recovery. And that's a really something which hit home with me a long time ago, or in this case, just about a year ago. Because for me, I thought, hey, I know my rhythm, and my rhythm is that I need to constantly push hard. And I realized it wasn't that. I had a stroke, and you guys know that. And for me, I also realized using your energy wisely is really, really important, because when you stop chasing the hype, that's really where real growth happens. Because committing weekly, discipline isn't a one time wow. It's a weekly reset, a weekly discipline, a weekly decision, and a weekly way for showing up for yourself. This is how you avoid that burnout. You stay in the game. You respect the rhythm, and you respect the remembering. Consistency doesn't mean intensity, it really means longevity. And for me, that was a really hard thing to figure out. Because for me, as I started owning my own business, for me, I learned, what? If you don't care, nobody else cares as much for your business as you do. You need to show up every day. You need to hustle. You need to go 100 miles an hour. And that's absolutely not true. Because what I have learned, that discipline, it's not just discipline. What is discipline in the dark? Because the truth is, what really happens, or what really happens in the dark is, it's when nobody's looking. And the best work does happen in the dark. When nobody's watching you, if nobody's seeing you, if nobody's liking your post, if nobody's giving you applause, if nobody cheers you on, and if nobody hustles with you. Because that's where mastery is born, when you do this by yourself. And bring people along which have the same outlook as you do. And let me ask you a question. What are you doing for this optic for that outcome? If you're chasing optics, you will quit when, you know, the applause fades. If you're looking on outcoming, discipline becomes identity. What it is for you, it's not what you do, it's who you are. Because builders don't perform, builders become. And that's something which is really hard to get your arms around it, because it was for me. Because you have, and I call it seal that lesson. And for me, I had to seal that lesson. So let's land this. If motivation gets you started, discipline keeps you legendary. If you want to audit your current rituals, if you are leaving things up to randomness instead of looking into that particular system you're creating, and if you want to, you know what, DM me and I send you one of my disciplines I'm really proud of, even if nobody sees it, especially if nobody sees it. And if you sent me that discipline of you, what do you do in the dark? What do you do when nobody shows up? What do you do when nobody's applauding? What is if nobody's liking your post? Because discipline isn't about the spotlight. It's about legacy you are building in the dark, you're building in the shadows. And that's what this is all about. So that's why that solo episodes I'm doing on Friday, I want to share with you a short little something I'm working on. And that's something I focused on for the last 2 weeks. Because for me, I always worked harder in the dark when nobody was watching. And the day we had a podcast, we recorded, and the gentleman I did it with, I ahead of time, I said, "Hey, this is some of the stuff we worked on last week." And he said to me, "Hey, what is all of this? This is unbelievable. You," and I have it written down here. He says, "You creating authority with the programs you create." And he says, "How come you never talk about it?" And it was kind of, it was interesting because for me, I didn't want to share it out loud. And I think today is the perfect way to share it with you. Because for me, creating that legacy, creating tools um, for you to show up better than anybody else. Because for me, it's really simple. The tools we created for our book course, it wasn't for me about the money. It wasn't about, for me, the legacy or the applause. For me, it was how many people go through that process and how many people actually finish that book. And I told that story today. The very first time I did the book course, it was interesting because we had about 29 people on it, but only 6 of them finished the book. And for me, I looked at it. Wow, why why didn't the other people? How come they didn't finish? And I called every single person who didn't finish. And for me, I found a few things which I needed to work on to make my program better. And you guys probably heard that there's 3 ways of people need us with a book. The first thing is for us is to get really clear, and that's what I found a lot of people struggled with, is what is the book for? So if you're in a restaurant and you promote your restaurant or a cuisine, the book is different than when I teach you about the cuisine or I tell you the history of the cuisine, or I want to use that as a tool to promote my program. So that's what we became really, really good. And we created something we called the success loop on what makes people succeed and why people failing. And then we also looked at what gets you excited and how can you stay excited when nobody's watching, when nobody's copying, when nobody's liking it. And that was for us step one. And then during the process, somewhere, if you guys know our book course is 8 weeks, somewhere around the middle, the real achievers looking at it and they're feeling, oh, I'm halfway in it. I need to get done, or I should have been further ahead than now. And especially if somebody is further ahead, it puts that added pressure on you. And be here for our clients to make sure they keep writing. And the final thing is what we call that writer's mile is ISBN number, licensing, what book am I gonna write? And so we created that people having not just write one book, we put it into 4 different formats. We do a digital book, we do an audio book, we do a hardcover book, we do a softcover book. It's all done for a reason, because the person writing or reading that book, if you leave it as a gift, a hardcover is so much better than a softcover and so on and so forth. So for us, those were the 3 things we learned we need to do. And as I did my second course, we had only 18 people, but I had over half of the people finish a book. Then I looked at why, and it just became this thing where we kind of moving the process along and providing more value into the clients and into the authors, because we know when you see value, if you keep working, even, as we talked earlier, when nobody is clapping, when nobody sees you, when nobody likes you post, if there's nobody who cheers you on, if you really do things right, I realized that's where real mastery was born. And then we teach you how to create a business around it. And we became the authority to help you with all of that. We host the podcast, we host your website. All you need to do is show up and we do the rest for you. And that for me became what we're talking about today. It's for me, really, that is that ritual that makes you relentless. And when you talk about the ritual and you do this over and over again, and you don't leave anything up for randomness, or you don't leave anything up for anything else. As we said earlier, high performers don't leave their energy to a chance. They build rituals, they anchor them. And so for me, and I want to leave this with you today, that's what made our book course so successful. Isn't that crazy? So I hope this lands with you. If motivation gets you started, if discipline keeps you legendary, what is that tool you will do in that space? So if you would like, tighten that up a little bit. If you want us to help you, if you want to get a little bit more clarity around what you want to do, DM us below. Say, hey, Christian, I need your help. Or, hey, this really resonated with me. And let's set up that half-hour session where we can help you get really, really clear on what you do. And that's what, for me, is the single best way. And we started out with this. Is it a discipline dilemma? How do high performers stay consistent? And for me, it's as simple as that. They do things when nobody's watching. They will put in the extra effort because they planned it out. And they do it even when nobody's clapping, nobody's watching, nobody's cheering them on, nobody's liking their posts. Because real discipline isn't a narrow road, it's an up and down. And as we started this out, motivation is a mood, and discipline is a decision. With that, I want to say thanks for being here today. My name is Christian. I'm the host of the Disruptive Chef Entrepreneur Show. And if we can help you with your book, DM us below and write in, hey, book session, and we send you the link on how to sign up. And if this resonated with you, also send it to somebody you feel who can benefit from it. And if you haven't done so, please like this episode and click the notification bell so you know every time we have a new content coming out. So with that, I want to say thanks for being here. Thanks for listening in. My name is Christian. I really appreciate you. And let's see what that little discipline can bring for you. I see you next Friday.